Welcome to my channel. Last night's El Clasico gave football fans one of those strange nights that people will keep talking about for a long time. The final score said Barcelona 2, Real Madrid 0, but the result alone does not explain how unusual the game really felt. El Clasico usually brings drama, intensity, big personalities, and moments of genius. This match had all of that, but it also had something more difficult to describe. There was a strange rhythm to the entire night. It felt as if everyone inside the stadium expected one story, but the match decided to write a completely different one. From the opening minutes, there was already something unusual in the atmosphere. Real Madrid entered the game with the kind of confidence people normally associate with them in big moments. Their body language suggested control. Their passes were quick. Their pressing was aggressive. And for a few minutes, it looked like they wanted to dominate territory immediately. But strangely, the more they touched the ball, the less dangerous they looked. They had movement, they had speed, but they did not have clarity. It was almost as if they were running with urgency, but without direction. Barcelona, on the other hand, looked calm in a very unexpected way. They were not flying forward recklessly. They were not trying to win the game in 10 minutes. Instead, they seemed patient, almost cold. That calmness became one of the strangest things about the match. In El Clasico, emotions often control the tempo. Last night, Barcelona looked like the team that understood the emotional weight of the occasion and refused to let it affect them. One of the oddest parts of the first half was how many promising Real Madrid attacks simply disappeared. There were moments when they reached good positions, moments when the crowd expected a final pass, a shot, or a decisive move. But again and again, those attacks faded. A heavy touch, a delayed decision, a pass played slightly behind a teammate. Tiny details kept ruining their momentum. It was not a complete tactical collapse. It was more mysterious than that. They looked close to danger without ever truly becoming dangerous. That is what made the game feel strange. Normally, when Real Madrid struggle, you can identify the reason clearly. Sometimes they are outplayed physically. Sometimes they are dominated tactically. Sometimes they simply lose control of possession. But last night it felt different. They were present in the match, but somehow absent in the decisive moments. For a club that lives on big moments, that absence felt shocking. Barcelona sensed this. Little by little, their confidence grew. Every successful recovery, every clean transition, every composed sequence of passes made them look more comfortable. There was a moment when the entire match seemed to change emotionally. It was not necessarily one tackle or one chance. It was the feeling that Barcelona suddenly understood the game belonged to them if they remained patient. Then came the breakthrough. The first goal did not feel like an explosion. It felt like a release. Barcelona had been quietly building pressure, waiting for the right opening. When the goal arrived, it was almost inevitable. What made it strange was the reaction. Instead of panic, Real Madrid appeared stunned. For a few minutes after conceding, they looked uncertain. Their tempo dropped. Their confidence seemed to disappear. In El Clasico, momentum can change in seconds, and last night the emotional swing was impossible to ignore. Perhaps the biggest surprise was that Real Madrid never truly produced the expected response. Usually, conceding wakes them up. It sharpens their aggression. It gives them urgency. We have seen them many times transform chaos into opportunity. But here, the reaction never fully arrived. They pushed forward, yes. They tried to accelerate, yes. But there was no real sense of inevitability. That was one of the strangest feelings of the night. Seeing Real Madrid chase the game without making the game feel out of control. Barcelona's defensive composure deserves enormous credit. They did not defend desperately. They defended intelligently. Their positioning was compact, their decision-making was disciplined, and their reading of danger was excellent. Every time Real Madrid tried to create rhythm, Barcelona seemed ready to interrupt it. That kind of control in an emotionally charged Clasico is rare. The second goal made the night even more surreal. At that point, you could almost feel the disbelief spreading. A two-goal advantage in El Clasico always changes everything. Suddenly every pass feels heavier for the losing side. Every missed chance becomes more painful. Every minute feels shorter. Barcelona understood that immediately. They did not rush. They did not become reckless. They played with maturity. Another strange thing about the match was how quiet certain expected stars became. In games of this magnitude, everyone expects the biggest names to take over. Usually one moment of individual brilliance can change the story. Last night, however, the collective structure mattered more than individual magic. Some of the most dangerous sequences came not from spectacular dribbles or impossible shots, but from disciplined positioning, timing, and intelligent movement. That is part of why this match will remain memorable. It did not feel like a classic chaotic El Clasico decided by emotional madness. It felt more like a psychological battle. Barcelona looked mentally clear. Real Madrid looked mentally rushed. That difference became more visible with every passing minute. The crowd also played an interesting role. Early in the game, the noise carried anticipation. Later, it carried tension. After the second goal, the atmosphere felt different again. Not empty, but almost shocked. Football stadiums have their own language, and last night the sound inside the arena told its own story. You could sense when belief shifted from one side to the other. When the final whistle arrived, the result felt deserved, but the path to it still felt unusual. Barcelona won 2-0, but what made the night memorable was not only the scoreline. It was the feeling of watching one team remain emotionally balanced, while the other never fully found its rhythm. That is rare in a rivalry built on emotional extremes. And maybe that is the biggest weirdness of all. El Clasico is supposed to be wild, explosive, unpredictable, and full of dramatic swings. Last night was unpredictable, yes, but not in the usual way. Barcelona did not win because the game became chaos. They won because they stayed calm while everything around them carried the pressure of history. For football fans, that is why this match will be remembered. Not simply because Barcelona beat Real Madrid 2-0, but because the night felt strangely different from what El Clasico usually gives us. The emotions were there. The tension was there. The history was there. But the rhythm, the psychology, and the strange silence in certain moments made this one stand apart. And that is what makes football beautiful. Sometimes the biggest matches are remembered not only for the goals, but for the feeling they leave behind. Last night's El Clasico left exactly that feeling. Something unusual, something surprising, and something that will keep fans talking long after the final whistle. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. What was the strangest moment of last night's El Clasico for you? I'll see you in the next video.